Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have you join us for our first Tiger Talk of the summer. So this first Tiger Talk is all about orientation. This year's is going to look a little bit different, but we are excited for the new possibilities that it holds. So today we have Kyle Nixon with us, who is our Associate Director of Admissions and Recruitment, and he's going to kind of tell you a little bit about orientation and answer your questions as well. So welcome, Kyle. Thank you so much. So to get us started, will you tell us a little bit about what new student orientation is going to look like this summer for our students?
Sure. And thank you, Lindsay, for inviting us to join in on this live platform. And first, I want to say congratulations to all of our students who are graduating high school. I know that this moment is not anything that you probably ever imagined, but know that we are rooting for you. We congratulate you, and we're excited to welcome you to the Tiger family. As Lindsay mentioned, orientation will take place 100% online this summer. The university wants to make sure that we are taking the necessary precautions to keep our students and their families safe. And so orientation will take place online. And each student will have access to what's called eCourseware, and they'll get access to New Student Orientation 1000, which is the course that will be housed in eCourseware. And it's going to be required for all incoming freshman students, and it's not required but encouraged for incoming transfer students. So inside of eCourseware, students will have about 9 modules to complete on various topics about the university and things that we typically cover at New Student Orientation. The actual orientation process and completing the modules will take about an hour and a half, 2 hours, no more than that for the students to complete. And then there will be next steps after that for advising and class registration, the financial aid process, as well as small group meetings with our orientation guides.
So are you encouraging, is there any kind of cost associated with orientation this year?
There's no cost. There's no cost to the students or their families. Since everything is being hosted online, we don't have some of those costs that we would in person. And so for students who registered for orientation prior to us moving online, you should have all received a refund by this point. If you haven't, just email our office at orientation@memphis.edu, and we'll take care of that for you. But there's no cost associated with any point of the orientation process.
Okay. So in terms of orientation, I know engage with other students to get to know other people or get to know their orientation guide. How are they going to be able to do that a little bit this summer, being virtual?
Sure. So for each freshman session, our incoming students will be divided into a small group with some of our orientation guides who are upperclassmen here at the university. And throughout these small groups, students will have the opportunity to engage with both the orientation guides as well as some of the other peers who are coming into the university. And then we'll also have a small group meeting on night 1 of their regular scheduled orientation session. And so, for example, if a student was scheduled for session 1 on May 21st and 22nd, they will have a small group meeting on Thursday night, this next Thursday, with their orientation guide to sort of talk through the student experience and next steps in the enrollment process.
So also another part of kind of in-person orientation in the past has been a chance for parents and families, along with their students, to talk with a financial aid officer or the business office to talk about those tuition and fees. Will they have that? Will students and maybe their parents and families have that opportunity to do that as they have in the past?
Absolutely. So in the past, we've hosted one-on-one budget sessions, both with our financial aid office as well as our business office, to sort of talk through the fee payment process, how much the bill is going to be for the student, and then also how much aid they're going to 22nd. And so we'll have a small group meeting on night one of session one, and so on the evening of May 21st. And so students, your orientation guide should be reaching out in the coming days about how to access all of that and the next steps to join in on those meetings.
Okay, so before with orientation, many of our students had a chance to engage with other students, to get to know other people, or get to know their orientation guide. How are they going to be able to do that a little bit this summer, being virtual?
Sure. So for each freshman session, our incoming students will be divided into a small group with some of our orientation guides who are upperclassmen here at the university. And throughout these small groups, students will have the opportunity to engage with both the orientation guides as well as some of the other peers who are coming into the university. And then we'll also have a small group meeting on night one of their regular scheduled orientation session. And so, for example, if a student was scheduled for session one on May 21st and 22nd, they will have a small group meeting on Thursday night, this next Thursday, with their orientation guide to sort of talk through the student experience and next steps in the enrollment process.
So also another part of kind of in-person orientation in the past has been a chance for parents and families, along with their students, to talk with a financial aid officer or the business office to talk about those tuition and fees. Will they have that? Will students and maybe their parents and families have that opportunity to do that as they have in the past?
Absolutely. So in the past, we've hosted one-on-one budget sessions, both with our financial aid office as well as our business office, to sort of talk through the fee payment process, how much the bill is going to be for the student, and then also how much aid they're going to receive in scholarships, grants, things like that. And so our financial aid office is currently working to set up appointments for students to engage with them via Zoom as well. And so students will have the opportunity to schedule an appointment with those offices and talk through the financial aid process and some of their financial questions. One thing related to financial aid that I would share, every student should be getting some form of outreach via phone, via mail, via email regarding the financial aid process. And it will make it a lot easier for both the students and their families if they can get all of their financial aid documentation turned in as quickly as possible so that we're able to package their awards and let them know what they'll be receiving.
Great. So during this process too, will students have a chance to still register for classes and meet with an advisor?
Sure, yes. So all of our incoming freshman students will be required to complete the online orientation modules prior to getting advised. And so once students complete the modules in eCourseWare, we'll send a list to our academic advisors, and our advisors will reach out to students individually to schedule appointments to get advised. And then in some advising sessions, students will be able to register for their classes with their advisors. But if you need to make changes to your schedule or add a class or something like that, we'll also have some staff members from across campus available, as well as our orientation guides throughout the summer to host meetings on Zoom as well to get students advised into their courses.
Will students have to know what they want to major in when they do orientation, or will there be a process to kind of evaluate and see what they want to do?
Sure. Students don't have to know what they want to major in. We have a large number of students who come in as undeclared because they're still trying to explore what they want to do. And so if that's the case, that's absolutely fine. And we will still get you advised and into classes. Students who are undeclared will still have to take general education courses, so your Englishes, your math, science, things like that. And so they'll get that squared away their freshman year, and then they can declare a major later. And then students who have chosen a major but want to change, they can do that through the orientation process as well. And then when they meet with their advisor, they can let them know that, hey, I'm thinking that, I want to do criminal justice instead of psychology. We can make that change for them as well. So it's not set in stone if you want a little bit more flexibility there.
So during this process, how can parents and family members learn more information as well, but also help their student along the process this summer?
Sure. One thing that I would encourage, though it's not required, but I would encourage for our parents and family members to sit alongside their student while they're completing the modules, because the information will be helpful both for the students and their families. And again, it should take no more than 2 hours to complete the process, and I'm being a little generous there. And so I would encourage parents to sit down with their students and go through it as well. We'll also have some resource pages both on the admissions and orientation site as well as the parent family services site with more information about the university that provides some supplemental information that I think would be helpful post-orientation.
Yeah, we are creating those pages right now, and they should be great resources for our parents and families, and we will continue to do these Tiger Talks as well during the summer. So with everything being virtual orientation, so how are you communicating with students this summer and moving forward? And what are the things that students need to be doing on a regular basis this summer to get ready for the fall?
Sure. So one thing that we're doing a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot, is emailing students. And so if I could give any piece of advice to students or their families, I would encourage you to check your University of Memphis email as frequently as you check any social media site. Just because we're going to be sending a lot of information to you about next steps in the process, and we want to make sure that you have everything that you need before classes start. We'll also be sending some some text messaging as well, and then we'll also be doing some phone calls for students. And we've been doing that since we've moved to the working from home environment, and just know that we'll continue to do that. And our staff is available to answer any questions outside of that as well.
So I know that orientation doesn't have a cost. Are there any other costs that parents should kind of be ready for this summer as they're getting their student ready?
There are none that I can think of. As of right now, the Frost Camp program is still on as planned for the July and August camp sessions. I've not heard that they would be or that they're canceled at this point. And so if you have a student who is interested in Frost Camp, that's a potential cost that you may have. And then the actual bill for tuition and fees will come out a little bit later this summer, around early to mid-July. And so that will be a cost that you all will need to keep on your radar. But outside of that, there's nothing else unless you're buying essentials for their residence hall or things like that.
So one of the questions that we had from online is, if the student took the ACT multiple times, do you consider the highest math score they received, or do you use the math score from the test with the highest overall score, or something else?
So we will use the highest composite score at this point, and so just the average of all of the scores, and we'll take the highest we'll take the sub score from the highest composite score from their ACT.
Okay. Is there anything else that students need to be doing this summer in order to prepare for the fall?
Like I said, making sure that you check your email frequently so that you know what's coming up and what's going on. as it relates to the university. My encouragement to all students is to complete your online orientation as soon as you're able to. We'll send you an email to let you know once you have access to it. But the sooner you complete the online modules, the sooner you're able to register for your classes and meet with your advisor, and then also meet with our financial aid office to talk about next steps. And then, you know, if there are questions along the way or you have trepidation about anything, please be in touch with our office, our offices, so that we can get those questions answered for you. It's a unique time in that we're not in person to be able to answer some of those one-off questions that you may have throughout the orientation session, but we're certainly still available to answer those questions and be of assistance to you.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. We really, truly appreciate you taking this time to talk to our parents and answer their questions. So we look forward to a really great summer full of orientation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay.